like I was saying, we up there in Milwaukee, they at the bar, they drink it at 9 o'clock in the morning, bruh. Like, that's waking up early for the express purpose of going somewhere and drinking. Getting out of your bed and leaving your house for the express purpose of going to drink. So at the reception, we having dinner, and they bring the salads around first, so we get our salads. Salads are really good, by the way. And then after salad, the lady comes around and is like, well, would you like coffee? And I'm like, nah, I don't want coffee. Like, it's 7 o'clock. And then, like, normally coffee signifies the end of the meal. And it dawned on me, man, that was sober up coffee. Right? Like, that's the only rational explanation that somebody gonna come ask you if you want specifically a cup of coffee. It wasn't like, do you want something to drink? They were like, do you want a cup of coffee? Right? What other reason is there to be offering me a cup of coffee at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the afternoon? Like, why would you do that? I don't understand. They drink, dog. Like, I need to see what the life expectancy is for those people up there, man. Because they drink. Damn. Anyway, let me give you some of the joys of this wedding. And of course, joy number one is Mike Hitman. And there's some of you who don't know who Mike Hitman is. His name is Mike Gittens. He is a DJ in Chicago, Illinois, who hangs out with a bunch of guys who are pimps. Their names are Good Game, Lucky Strike, Spanish Fly, and my man Darnell. Big fan of Darnell. Anyway, Mike used to call the radio show, and I can confidently and sincerely tell you that I'm probably not in the places that I'm in, if not for a lot of those telephone calls from Mike in Chicago, because Mike is the single greatest radio caller of all time. The greatest. And it's like impossible to believe that Mike is real. Because here's the thing about Mike, right? Like, Mike's a dude who's born in Birmingham, Alabama, and moved up to Chicago. Mike, I don't think I know anyone who is more comfortable with himself, no matter the circumstances surrounding, 100%, than Michael Gittens. Michael Gittens gets on the radio and shouts out his phone number, his real phone number. And you know why he shouts out his real phone number? His answer is, because somebody might be looking for me. That is the exact reason I do not give out my real phone number. Right? That specific reason. Nope. Not Mike. You could call Mike literally. If I gave you Mike's phone number right now, because I can't remember the new number by heart, but I could give you Mike's phone number right now, and you could call Mike and say, Mike, I'm cool with Bomani. I'm coming to Chicago. And Mike will show you around, and Mike will take you out, and Mike will have you having a good time. Now, ain't no telling what Mike gonna have you around in the course of that good time, but I'm telling you, that's how Michael Gittens gets down. And Michael Gittens came to DJ this wedding. But before this wedding got DJ'd, Mike was out there, man, and Mike got all the game, dude. Mike is like a random game generator, right? Like how, you know, you can go get a random number generator on the internet. Mike is like a random game generator. You got a line, Mike got a line. And Mike might tell you anything, boy. Mike told this white woman in there, and it's an interracial wedding, so it's important to note what side these things are on. As I give you this picture of Mike Hitman, who came to DJ that wedding in a white tuxedo jacket with orange trim with a black bow tie. Okay? Like, you need to understand this. And Mike is a full-on Chi-Town player. Chi-Town player. And he's got that Chi-Town migration, like urban country hybrid accent, right? So Mike looked at this woman because Mike's so conservative, so comfortable with himself. Mike looked at her. She had this big old tattoo on her arm. And Mike said, what's your tattoo mean? What's your tattoo mean? And she told Mike that it had some meaning of some piece of art or something. He was like, nah, but what it mean? What it mean? And he kept going. And she talked about it. And she told him all the details on it. And Mike said, I'm going to tell you right now, though, you're going to need to stay in shape, or you mess around and that tattoo be hanging all the way down to the ground. You're going to need to stay on that treadmill. That's what he told her. You're going to need to stay on that treadmill, or that tattoo drop down to the ground. So, of course, this woman is like mortified, and she just has this look on her face. But Mike don't care. right? Mike don't care. So Mike's like, whatever. And next to us, this Mexican woman, and Mike looks over at her, and Mike's like, well, what's your name? And she says, she won't give a name. She says, Cinnamon. He's like, oh, okay. My name, Brown Sugar. Every line you got, Mike got a line. You got to move, he got to counter. It was so hilarious to see that in person. And also keep in mind that Mike showed up with a woman that Morning Jones listeners will remember. Her name is Lysandra Johnson. Remember Mike called up and told us about Lysandra Johnson and told us to be careful not to be dealing with Lysandra Johnson, right? Because he told us Lysandra Johnson was crazy. And I think if I recall, Mike said something happened and an old man ran up in the crib and he had to jump out the window and broke his ankle in the alley running away. Y'all remember that? Okay, so she was Mike's date to the wedding, right? Mike had a homeboy, like he's DJing on stage. Mike had a homeboy that danced to all the songs, like part of the DJ Mike Hitman package. Like, this is a wedding at a little fancy place, and it's like a classically segregated interracial wedding where all the white people are staying with each other and all the black people are staying with each other. Like, it was one of those sorts of setups. You know what I mean? And in the middle of that is DJ Mike Hitman. And DJ Mike Hitman ain't got no concerns. DJ Mike Hitman in there playing deep house. DJ Mike Hitman at your wedding playing Erotic City. Toward the end of the night, because the groove requested it, DJ Mike Hitman play Pop That Coochie. Because that's what DJ Mike Hitman do. Thing was, DJ Mike Hitman kept the party jumping. Like, not everybody was with it on board at all times. But DJ Mike Hitman DJ a party, DJ a wedding the same way he DJ a party. Like, yeah, he had some wedding tracks for you, and he had to wobble in the cha-cha slide. Man, at one point the power went out. Mike had lost the crowd. Mike brought the crowd out all the way back in 2 songs, right? Like, the power went out. Power stayed out for like 7 minutes. They were trying to get the power back at, where he was working. They got that power back for Mike. Mike got that thing going. You know how Mike got that thing going? Because Mike told him to do a Soul Train line. And how Mike decided they was going to get that Soul Train line going? By having me and Corey do the Soul Train line. Yes. Now, if you know me or have talked to me a couple times, you may know that one thing I always say is that I can't dance. It's not what I do. And I don't drink anymore, so I can't really get to that place. You understand? But Mike told us to get the Soul Train line going and said Bomani Jones and Corey Erdman, the Morning Jones is going to get this started. Because you got to understand, Mike used to talk about the Morning Jones like the Morning Jones is the greatest thing ever. Mike called me after that show got canceled and was like, look, I done got some sponsors together so we can get the show back on the air. Like, that's how for real with this my man Mike is. This is why I love this man like family. Because nobody's ever written for anything I did like Mike wrote for the Morning Jones, right? So Mike got me and Corey, and I look at Corey, I'm like, I ain't doing no damn Soul Train line. I'm just not doing this. And then I looked at Corey, and Corey wasn't doing it. And like, suddenly, I started feeling that big brother in me as it relates to Corey. And I was like, you know what, Corey? We need to shed our inhibitions and do what we need to do just to have fun at a party. Who cares who's looking at us? And so me and Corey awkwardly went down the Soul Train line and got that thing jumping. And let me tell you something, people. It don't really get no funnier than the Soul Train line at an interracial wedding.